What's up, y'all? My name is Ian Edwards, and welcome to the Soccer Comic Rant. And I can say that with a smile on my face that hasn't been there in a minute. And we'll get into why I'm happy. Let me just say it. Manchester United did the unbelievable and beat Liverpool. And we are above them in the table, and we have 3 points, and I feel ecstatic. More ecstatic than some of the people on the podcast about their results this week, but we'll get to that. So first, I want to thank All Things Comedy and all the platforms that we're on. We want you all to like and subscribe and tell your friends about the podcast so we could grow this thing. We've been doing it for a minute. We give a good product, but our numbers are kind of stagnant. So let's make this thing happen. And we're going to do some things to hook up the aesthetics and do some stuff to it, but we'll get into that maybe later on other podcasts. And want to give a shout out to Lee Hudson, stand-up comic from England, Southampton fan. You can see he got on the shirt, and he should be happy. You know what I mean? How you doing, Lee?
I'm good. I'm liking not having to record from my car this week.
Oh yeah.
Back from the Edinburgh Festival. But yeah, good weekend for us for sure.
I know you guys have been coming back to get points. So good for Southampton. Give them a few goals or one goal, and then you start playing.
Yeah, hopefully we don't do that against you guys this weekend. We want to be on it from the start.
Yeah. No, you should do that. We love a head start. And Neil Chakravarty, stand-up from San Diego, by way of India, Chelsea fan, which is why his A was pretty much dying as it came out of his mouth. What's up, man? You good?
I'm
you
good.
Need anything?
Good. I'm good. You saw me. I'm good.
Yeah. It doesn't sound like the greatest. I'm good. It's like, but I'll have to take your word for it. But
I hope when you met him on Sunday and that you took his shoelaces off him.
he wouldn't invite me to his house. He might have. When did you get locked on your roof? Was it after the game or before?
It was actually, it was Friday night, like all of Friday night till 8 a.m. on Saturday. So, and the game was Sunday morning. So.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
Maybe you're too starved and hungry to.
I would have been even more pissed off because I was losing battery. If the game was Saturday and I had to be locked out on the rooftop and losing battery on my phone, so I can't really see the game.
That would have made me.
Yeah, that would have been the universe doing you a favor.
Yeah, I guess. But I would have also been blaming myself for being stuck on the rooftop for the result.
I don't know. I wouldn't mind getting stuck on the rooftop for some of Manchester United's earlier results. So since I just brought up Manchester United, let's just get into it. It's going to be one of the main topics. Old rivalry. The goddamn Liverpool come to Old Trafford and they're trying to embarrass us. They're really in a tough position because they haven't won a game since the season started. So they should have been extra ramped. So it's not the greatest time to meet them, when they're like a wounded animal and they need points. But Manchester United show up and get all 3 points for our first win of the season. Ten Hag's first win as Manchester United official manager in the league, and the energy of the players and in the stadium was fantastic. Martinez played like he was 6'6". Malacios just shut down Salah, had him for dinner. I didn't even know Salah was out there. Alanga, I think that was his assist to Sancho. So Elanga provided his energy and his youth and his enthusiasm. It was a great way to welcome Casemiro to Old Trafford, watching a technical derby game against Liverpool and introducing them before the game. Varane looked like the Varane that we bought from Real Madrid, and Harry Maguire. That there's nothing better than seeing Harry Maguire on the bench. You know what I'm saying? Just not involved. And Martinez stepping up in defense. Dalot, like that's the Dalot I want to see every week. Just like hungry and in Luis Diaz's ass. It was a difficult player to contain and just on him and tackling him and getting a yellow and still being aggressive. Like we had some aggressive personalities out there today, and good experiment with Eriksson in the midfield with McTominay, and McTominay fighting and getting balls, and Eriksson, being the guy that can pass us out of trouble when we're stuck deep, and then just De Gea, the instructions like, hey man, let's Brighton hold this. Let's do what Brighton Hove did to us to Liverpool. No working our way out the back, which we're gonna have to learn how to do, but we didn't want to risk it this game. So that was the tweak. Boot the ball up, take away one of Liverpool's main strengths, which is their pressing when teams try to play out the back. And that's how they get a lot of their goals, by trapping teams, taking the ball away from them, and turning the team's gun on themselves and scoring. We didn't give them a chance to do that. And there was just like 5-star performances all over the place. Bruno Fernandes is a captain. Like, it was great for Harry Maguire to see what a real captain should play like from the bench. So that was beautiful. And it's just good to see, like, people paying the repercussions of not being good enough sometimes. Like, sometimes the players don't play good enough and they still start. Now, there's like, hey, man, there's some repercussions. You're going to have fan seats if you don't show up like this. You know what I mean? You're going to be a season ticket holder, and that's it. So that was great. The front line, the interchanging between Sancho. People have been coming down on Sancho, but he couldn't get the ball the last few weeks. Like, I don't blame him a lot. The only thing I do blame him for is, like, when you see St. Maximin play this weekend, like, he takes people on, and holds onto the ball. And I think Sancho sometimes doesn't do that. He does pass, but sometimes he probably needs to St. Maximum some motherfuckers and take them on and drag the length of the pitch of play out. So, but he had a great goal, and that goal was worth 73 mil. That's the type of goal of $73 million, pound, euro, dollar, or whatever it works out or converts to player scores. Like composure, putting people down on their floor and passing it into the back of the net pass. One of the best goalkeepers in the world, and making a Liverpool old guy like Milner yell at Van Dijk for not stepping up, and Rashford, we got to see the type of game he's good at. He's playing in a system like he likes to run behind people and likes to fast break it. I don't know how that goal was not offside, but I am gonna go to a bar where that linesman is having a drink at and pay off his tab and thank him for that one. Because and the VAR guys, I like, even when they show the line, I'm like, that's offside. Maybe the defender had on white boots, so it blends into, I don't know. But that shit, the second goal, I gotta be honest, I felt like it was offside, but I will take that all day for Man U. I'm trying to go through the rest of the players. Ronaldo came on. I mean, he was all right. Donny van de Beek came on. He's a jogger to me. I don't know. Donny van de Beek looks like he's warming up the entire game when he's in the game. He's got to pick that shit up, man. Fred came on, did a little something. Varane, 4 points. Did I hit everybody? And I big up Elanga. And yeah, and Salah didn't see him. Luis Diaz didn't see him. Salah did get a goal, and Elliott, did a little something, but we benefited from a weakened and aged midfield that Liverpool had, and yeah, man, we came out like professionals. You do the basics, like when I do play soccer, like I want to get a tackle in first, so that if I get a tackle in, then I'm not afraid to make my first pass because I've already done something good before I've gotten the ball, and it gives me confidence. And that's how we came out, and that's basic football for me. And we did that. What do you guys think?
It felt like a reaction performance from you guys. Like it'll be interesting to see if like that attitude like persists because you know what I mean. Like the play, like last week was just a full on embarrassment. Like to the point where if they did that again, those players should have had to quit the game. Because
did you see us last year? We did that repeatedly. We don't care about reacting.
But not like 4-0 down after 35 minutes to Brentford levels. That's a big low.
Guy, and then did it repeatedly to the new guy. The same thing that got the coach before him fired.
But you know what I mean? Like it felt like the players came out. Like I don't know if they would have, if you would have drawn 1-1 with Brentford, I don't know if they'd have played that hard against Liverpool in this game. It felt like there was a lot of players who had something to prove. They'd been criticised in the media all week, and they ran their asses off. That was the thing. Like you could see players just like any 50-50 ball, they were like, "This is mine." They were just running because Liverpool was still creating quite a lot of chances, but you guys at the back were there was bodies in the way every time there was a block. Every time there was someone making a tackle or a clearance or an interception or something, like it was just crazy. And like whatever Ten Hag did, he needs to like just try and channel that from the players again every week, because that should be like the minimum requirement, is that they work their asses off like that. Because I didn't think you played amazing with the ball. I think there was a stat. It was the lowest possession percentage of Ten Hag's career in a game that he's won.
Can I just jump in and just tag you on that? It's probably the lowest percentage of having the ball for a minute, but it's weird that we won for the season. Like we even against Brentford, we outpossessed them, and against Brighton Hove. But it's funny that the game with the lowest amount of possession, we won the game. But it's just
you're effective though. Like the early chance off the post, the way the 2 goals were scored. The ball moved quickly, and that was what you need to do, because I think there's going to be a mixture of games this season where you're going to play teams who try and play over your press, and then when they've got the ball, they're going to sit in and defend, and they're the games historically where United have had problems, where they need to break a team down who are giving them problems. Whereas if they're spacing behind like there was today, you saw that you've got the players who can exploit that. It's like Rashford, especially. Like Rashford today looked like the Rashford from like 3 or 4 years ago. When Martial came on, he obviously helped change the game as well. I think having him back fit is going to be big for you guys, because if he can take his form from pre-season into the games, which he looked like he did today, he could be a different player for you guys than he has been for the last couple of years. So that's really good as well. I thought Liverpool were, like I said, they seemed to be able to get to the final third quite easily. But then it was always like the final ball was poor, the final pass or the shot was poor, or you guys just defended really well for a lot of it as well. So I don't think they had problems there. It was just in the final third they were a little bit off, and then obviously defensively they were making mistakes at the back. Trent had a poor game. Van Dijk, like you say, had a poor game. When Milner's digging him out, like I don't know what he was doing on that goal. He just sort of stood off. I'm just going to stand here with my hands behind my back, not give away a penalty, but I'm going to give you a goal instead.
He was like, "You ain't going to sit me down like you did Milner. I'm going to stay right here. I'm going to die on my feet."
Yeah, it was strange, but I think it like I said, at the very least, the players needed to come out and work hard and show some fight for the shirt tonight, and they did that and more by being clinical as well on the attacks, which is I think best case scenario of what you could have done tonight. There's no way you're going to go out there and just pound for pound like play Liverpool off the pitch with slick passing football from back to front. And I think it's smart that Ten Hag looked to go a bit more pragmatic, because I think that was a big question. It was going to be like, is he going to be a fundamentalist and really stick to these principles and potentially, die by them? Or is he going to realize that the Premier League sometimes requires something else from you and you need to play a certain way to get a certain result? And he did that today.
Man, leaders, that is the shadiest, shade review. That's like you sounded more positive for Man U when we've lost games. Like, Jesus Christ. I just want to let you know that I noticed a lot of shade was thrown during that review, especially for somebody that we're playing next week. All right, it's cool.
But what I mean? Like sometimes people just get gassed up off a result and they don't look at
you have
all of the elements of the game.
No, I looked at them like Liverpool. You could keep the possession and we'll keep the 3 points. It's like there's a lot of positives, like doing all the things you need to do to keep the 3 points towards the end of the game. That's huge for us, and not putting our heads down when Liverpool score 1. And then this is the team that came to Anfield. How much did they beat us there last year?
5-0.
5-0, right? And then we lost to Brentford right before. This is huge to finally get some points at the beginning of the season. It's just
100%.
huge. Yeah, you can't. There's no way. I'm not overexcited. And the thing that makes me the most excited is because I watched Ten Hag getting interviewed after the game.
He said,
and he said he cursed, number one, which is dope. And then he talked about, he's not stupid. He didn't win 3 titles or leagues at Ajax. I don't know. He talked about, he knows what to do when you have a big win or you win 1 titles. He would have just won games at Ajax, and he mentioned about keeping humble. So, and if he can't continue this on and we just have 1 big win every once in a while, then he will no longer be coach. So he has to, he has to make these guys who are so inconsistent consistent, or else he's out of a job. So now the next exciting thing to see if he could do that. Let's see if Neil's review has less shade than Lee's.
No, I like the interview you're mentioning where he swore, and then when the anchor and Guy Neville, they're all having a laugh about the fact that he swore. Ten Hag's just he's just poker face, like, oh really, like that was a big deal. I mean, that's how I speak, so get used to it. So I like the fact that he showed some personality there, because I think that's been a question mark too, right? Like, you're managing Manchester United now.
When you watch Man U TV,
yeah,
right, and they show training for you, he's just cursed. It's bleep. There's no bleeps. He's cursing the whole training session. Like he's like, so and so, what the fuck you doing? Like, you hear that all the time. But sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I think he got the dossier from Ragnick, which said, page 1 should have cursed more. These guys don't listen. But no, it was a great game. Like, even as a neutral, I think it had everything. And we know United's strengths, right? Like, they have players who, I know Jadon Sancho's had a rough time in the Premier League, but if you see his record, like, they have players who can hurt you at the top of the pitch. And it was just so crazy how easy it was for United to literally run through the pitch and get to that final third. They were doing it so regularly. And you said they didn't have a lot of possession, but whatever they had, like, it felt like almost every play was turning into some sort of a threatening situation. So, and that was a beautiful goal by Sancho. Like, the whole play, actually, even they could have had a shot on goal just in the play leading up to the Sancho goal. They didn't, and then the Sancho goal, he took it brilliantly. Like, that is probably something you do in a 5-a-side game in training, and you use that to make fun of your teammates all for the entire week. But like, what he did to, like, that, I know Trent got a little cooked there by Langa, but like, it's the best centre back in the world. you're facing up to him, and Van Dijk was just, he kind of just didn't engage. And I think that's what Miller was telling him after that. Like, I think somebody lip read him saying, you fucking go there or you fucking get him, something like that.
Can I interrupt? Like, everybody, like, Milner was yelling at him, but there was a pass that Sancho could have made if Van Dijk had stepped up, and it would have been Bruno point blank. And I think that froze Van Dijk to be fair to Van Dijk, and I don't think Milner was looking at that.
No, but here's the thing: Milner went for the slide tackle, which I think bought Van Dijk some time, because Sancho then had to cut, do the fake, cut in, and there were a couple of seconds there where Van Dijk, if he's playing at his best, I think he can do something. Again, the odds are in the favor of the forward there, but he's just not. He just kind of like there's this thing going on. I don't know how seriously to take it. It's obviously a lot of banter that Van Dijk's trying to outplay opponents with his aura, that he's just trying to but Sancho curled it outside the field of his aura, like he got past that. But if you see a couple of games, like I think the last game, who were they playing last game? Oh, Zaha. Like, he didn't engage Zaha. He galloped towards him and then stopped. And then the game before that, I think it was Mitrovic, and of course Champions League final, when he's kind of backing away, and then the pass comes in from Valverde. So it's, I don't know what it is, but it's definitely been a pattern. Interestingly, I actually remember, like, when Liverpool had those back-to-back seasons, somebody had done a statistical analysis on Alisson, and essentially what had come out was that there are positions where he's getting in, which, if any other keeper in the world or in the league gets into those positions, opponents take more higher percentage, better shots at him. So it's like, there's nothing Alisson is doing, but just the fear factor of having Alisson, which kind of made sense, right?
It's like fighting Mike Tyson. Like, you won't be yourself.
Like you kind of try and do the extraordinary
highlight reel.
Yeah, because you feel like if you just do the basics right, he's gonna get you. So I don't know, maybe there is some truth to that. Like, maybe Van Dijk does feel this is something he has in his arsenal, where he can he can use that to his effect. And maybe we don't see all the times that it does work, and we see it the few times where it doesn't work. But I guess opponents are kind of he's got to change that. Like, I mean, I'm sure like Milner said that in the middle of the game. Like, I'm sure this is going to be something that's going to be spoken about in training. And
I think he spoke about it enough to him. I don't know what else he could say to Van Dijk in the locker room or training or on the bus right now or whatever they're taking home.
I think it was partly his frustration that he got sat on his ass as well.
I think he was embarrassed.
Oh yeah.
He's like, let this guy embarrass me and score. Do something.
And but that was like such great composure from Sancho. And even Rashford for that goal. Like, I've seen Rashford miss that same exact shot so many times. But yeah, he executed that amazing. And like, a little shade on United is that the fact that I don't think United's got the reply, the answer. Maybe Casemiro's answer, but they didn't have the midfield locked in either. I think it was very easy to cut through even United's midfield. So
well, let's talk about that. Like, it's our main problem, right?
Yeah.
Like, it wasn't. We had two main problems, but we fixed one of the main problems by putting Harry Maguire on the bench. So then now we got one main problem. So because we bought these defenders and they haven't replaced Maguire, but this time, like, I was watching.
They have, right? Like, isn't Lisandro like Martinez?
Well, now
he's a
he
center
is.
back, right?
Yeah, now he is. Now he's like that motherfucker. You know how you see a girl and you're like, man, she's wifey material. This motherfucker was captain material today. Like, I was in love. Like, I was like,
what I will say though, you played against a team that had no height in attack.
Yeah.
Whereas Brentford exploited that.
Shade, fam.
Like to play him against Liverpool's the sort of team you can play him against because it's more of a speed and ground battle than it is an aerial battle like Brentford was.
I mean, hey man, we got a tall guy. We sat him on the bench and we won with the short guy. That's all I can tell you, man. That's all I can say.
But I don't think United should jump into making new signing centre backs captain anymore.
No.
She kind of pumped the brakes on that.
But he played like the nickname that he had in the league. And
what was that?
What was it like? I gotta look it up. I forgot.
Like captain or something, maybe.
Nah, he like he's aggressive. Like
okay.
Yeah, and it's to be aggressive in the Premier League where you could give up, people are fast, and you could give up like plays. Like he heard everything that was said about him last week. It's almost like he heard everything that negative that anybody had ever said about him, and he's like, I'm gonna just prove them all wrong in this one game. But
and both
his nickname's the Butcher.
Yes.
Oh yeah. That's serious.
Yeah.
El Carnicero.
Yeah, El Carnicero, baby.
Even Malacia, I hope I'm pronouncing right. Like he was great too. Like he was in the right position. He was timing his tackles correctly. He looked pacey. He is getting back, and you could see like he's somebody who really enjoys getting the better, like winning a duel. Like he was, he's almost like high-fiving the advertisement boards. Like he really looked like he was up for it.
Yeah, I love that. And one of the best things that was said after the game when Marcus Rashford was being interviewed, he said it was a fun game to play in. Like I've seen so many games like that when it's the players are scared, but they enjoyed the match during the match.
Yeah.
Because to play without fear is everything. As we all know as performers, to perform without fear and to be in love at the moment when we have the mic in our hand, we're on stage and the crowd is in front of us, like you could do anything at that moment, above or within your level, and that. So we want more of that going forward. And just to Ten Hag, man, to like put Eriksen back there like he did last week. I didn't think it was a bad thing that he did last week. It just didn't work out, and he did it again this week. But he just, instead of having Fred, he put McTominay, who people are going in harder on than Fred. And, just it's the beginning of the season. It's a new system. And, and then now we'll probably never see either of them.
They both know they're gone now. So,
yeah, well, we'll never see Fred and McTominay again. That'll be very rare, not together, but it'll probably be one or the other. And then Eriksen is like, it might be an old dog teaching him a new trick of like being back there with him, being back there with one of them. But now it should be probably him. And you think it'll be him and Casemiro, or one of them and Casemiro?
I think so, because I think it should be Casemiro. Like the thing with Eriksen is we've always seen him as, he's been an attacking midfielder all his life. He's been a playmaker in those positions. Can he be a playmaker from deep? I don't think we have the answer for that yet. He should be, like if you see folks like Pirlo, who moved deeper and almost like revolutionized that role in the later half of his career. So it's been done. Fabregas at Chelsea was amazing from playing in a double pivot with Matic, but still being so creative, breaking assist records. So it's been done, and Eriksen has that caliber to do it. But if he can do it, it's great, right? Like he probably
I think
doesn't
especially when you play those deep block teams as well, because he can move up as like another 10 then. You can just play with one holding, depending on what sort of challenges the other team are posing you. But I mean, it'll be interesting this weekend to see when you play us, whether Casemiro comes straight in or whether he just has to go with the same team that won today and bring him in off the bench at some point. Because you can't really fault what those guys did in terms of their effort and everything today. So I don't know whether he drops him, drops McTominay straight away, or
we just threw a whole bunch of faults though, and at United too. Because like I mean, I do feel like the midfield can do with Casemiro coming in right away.
Yeah. I mean, he's been playing up until now. Like I saw him on the preseason tour. He played last weekend. Didn't play this weekend, but he's in match shape. Lee, are you worried now more than you would have been? Because we play you Saturday, Southampton.
I've watched us play United numerous times, like live, and we always play well and then lose by 1 goal.
No, you've been taking points from us and actually beating us.
Yeah, but mainly not, never when I go to the game though. So whenever I go live, I always
good. So you're going to be there live. Perfect.
Yeah, I always see Man United win by 1. So I remember years ago I went to a game at Old Trafford and it was 1-1, and then this is how long ago this was. Diego Forlan picked up the ball. He was playing terribly for United, but then he picked up the ball from like 30 yards and hit the top corner.
I think I remember that goal.
He took his shirt off when he scored, and then he couldn't get it back on. The game started again. He was running around trying to press people with no top on, and the referee had to stop the game and be like, "No."
When he took it off, was he swinging it around like a stripper?
Yeah, pretty much. And then I remember I went to another game at Old Trafford. We played great. Ward-Prowse scored a great free kick. Jan Valery scored from like 30 yards. But then we lost the game 3-2. Lukaku killed us. I went to a home game where we played well. We lost 2-1. Lukaku got the win at that time. So maybe Lukaku was the bogey man. So maybe without him, you won't be able to do us.
Lukaku loved like mid-table to lower table teams. Like that's where he would feast. So I could see him like killing like Southampton.
But I mean, we're up and down, so it's very conceivable that you could just come and beat us quite easily, or we could give you a game. That's the thing with us; you never know what you're going to get.
I feel like I believe in you more than you believe in you. But all right, so let's do this thing where you both tell me about your games this week, at like one at a time, and then we'll all pick a game of the week for each of us. That was cool. That wasn't our team, but we watched and were impressed by it. And some of us might have the same game. So Neil, there's a few things. So we'll go Neil first, and then we'll brighten it up with the enthusiasm of Lee afterwards. So hey, Lee, Neil, what happened in Chelsea versus Leeds? Look at the score here. Looks kind of
USA. USA.
That was so crazy. Like, why did it suddenly become a USA versus? There's like, if you go on Twitter, there's a fairly aggressive anti-Chelsea agenda from the USA soccer community, and I mean it started because back when Lampard wasn't playing Pulisic, and then Pulisic became, he had that great spell under Lampard, and then Lampard gave him the number 10 shirt during the next summer, and so then everybody came on board with we love Lampard, and then Lampard gets sacked, and Tuchel comes in. No, so when Lampard gets sacked around that time, obviously the team wasn't doing well. The team wasn't doing well. Pulisic was part of that team. He wasn't doing well either, so he got dropped. And again, the fans, this community again went anti-Lampard, anti-Chelsea, because you're not playing our golden boy. And then so Tuchel comes in. Everybody's like, oh, he's worked with Pulisic at Dortmund. He's the guy who gave Pulisic his debut. This is the best thing that has happened to Pulisic. And then I think pretty fairly, like in the second game or so, he played him at wing back, and that was it. Like these guys lost their shit. And yeah, it's been a rocky road ever since. It kind of feels like, and with ESPN FC has a very large media profile now, even in the world of European football. So it seems like that question is always gonna get asked. Is Chelsea the right place for Pulisic? Is Tuchel the right place, the right manager for Pulisic? Is Tuchel getting the best out of his attackers? And yeah, like I heard, somebody's been on the pod, Jimmy Conrad, go on a rant on Tuchel, pretty much saying that Pulisic should get the F out of there if he wants to do anything, if he cares for his World Cup. So, and then you're playing Jesse Marsch, you're playing Tyler Adams, and
Aaron's.
Tyler Adams. Sorry.
No, I mean, Aaron's is this forward, right?
Oh,
Aronson.
okay. Aronson.
Yeah,
Aronson,
Tyler
yes.
Adams and Brendan Aronson.
Right,
Yeah.
right. So yeah, and then Pulisic didn't start again. So obviously there was a lot of glee from US soccer on Twitter. What's the scoreline went the way it did.
Leeds is now America's team. They got 2 American players and the future U.S. men's national coach.
I mean, we still have Captain America hostage. I don't think you guys understand the power we wield in this situation.
Keep him. We got Leeds. We got Leeds, baby. And I'm not even supposed to like Leeds.
So, but coming to the game, it started off as a fairly. No, I mean it started off decent. Like we had a couple of chances
right.
we could have scored.
Sterling.
I think Sterling missed one, and he scored one which was offside, and it looked okay. And then, but Leeds were they were not creating any chances. I think the one shot went wide, but that Mendy mistake kind of happened out of nowhere. So even though we weren't doing great, I feel like in Premier League, you're always going to have such games where no matter if you're the best side in the league, you're always going to come up against a team which is not the favorite, but they're going to give you a good, tough game. So, but you can't go behind out of such an unforced error. Like that's not supposed to happen at this level, like what Mendy did. And and once you do that, you kind of trying to find answers, and pretty quickly you concede a free kick, which shouldn't have been a free kick, but that's the player kind of dived, but that those things happen, and you get your man marking wrong on the set piece, and you concede a header. So it was like within 5 minutes, the entire complexion of the game changed from something where we were looking to find answers, and suddenly you're 2-0 behind, and soon enough it was halftime. Tuchel made a lot of changes, which I kind of liked because we went to 4 at the back, and so we did this thing, the same thing that worked really well against Spurs, with Loftus-Cheek as the right wing back and Reece James as the right centre back. We went with the same thing. The reason why I didn't like that was against Spurs, it kind of makes sense. You have Reece as the centre back because you want to counter against Heung-min Son. But Leeds don't have that level of threat. So why are you going with that and not using Reece James in his absolute best position? I think it would just be okay if you have a centre back.
They got mobility though. Like Dan James runs in behind for them. He's really pacey. Like you've got no pace in your back line if Reece James isn't there really.
No, you could play Trevor Chalobah there. Like he somehow seems to be the forgotten man this season. Even though he had, he was pretty decent when he came on when he was used last season. So, yeah, I think that kind of like took away kind of blunted our attacking game, and so at halftime he went to a 4 at the back. Reece is now finally playing as a fullback, which is great. I think we those 15-20 minutes were actually really good. We are not conceding any chances. But then suddenly at around the 62nd minute mark, I think Tuchel just got frustrated. Like, he was panicking, the goals weren't coming, and he got rid of Gallagher and Jorginho together and put on Pulisic and Ziyech, which was just bizarre because now it left us with no midfield. Like Loftus-Cheek, a box-to-box midfielder, is suddenly having to man the entire midfield himself.
Brand new midfielder. But like
And-
he hasn't been a midfielder for an entire season yet in his career.
And probably we concede, and on the counter, like it was just gonna happen. So yeah, it was a bad. I think the players were bad. Manager made mistakes. Like our trust, like players who we really trust, like Mendy made some huge errors. So yeah, there's nothing to salvage from that game.
There's some weird stuff happening because Mendy's making more mistakes now towards the end of last season going into this season.
Yeah.
Then he's making Kepa errors. The only thing is, so that's kind of crazy. And is Tuchel like unraveling because of the amount of hats that he's wearing? Him and Todd Bowley are like buying players, picking players out, cooking food in the cafeteria, babysitting some of the players' kids, and babysitting some of the players, and picking out kits, colors, and shit like that. Like, is it just they don't have the infrastructure that they had before the club was sold, and then even having the club sold and switch ownership takes a toll, like an energy toll that might just be showing up now. You got to coach and do everything that you normally had to do. But, I just really want to give Leeds props for just the way they came out. Like that goal that they scored, like on Match of the Week, they showed where that same press that they put on got almost Chelsea a goal, all the way from the back up to the front with Sterling in the beginning of the game. And then a few plays later, the same press that got broken worked and got them a goal. And just their energy, and just good to see an American coach doing good in a Premier League where former American coaches haven't done good or couldn't even dream of being coaching in that league. It just, it's just, if Jesse Marsch doesn't work, and I know it's early, it's going to be a minute before another American coach gets a chance. So you need wins like this. And then, is it Aronson? The Aaron part is fucking me up compared to so Aronson, like, he was in the Bundesliga?
No, he was in the Austrian Bundesliga. Yeah. He was with Salzburg, Red Bull Salzburg.
Right. So, and
Tyler Adams was in the Bundesliga with Red Bull Leipzig.
With Red Bull Leipzig, right? Yeah. So just Aronson getting up to speed in a league that's 2 times faster than the league that he came from, and that's pretty amazing. My only issue was Tyler Adams. Is it Tyler Adams? Why am I blanking? Like the flag, the American flag wrapped around you at the end of the game, too much. They don't, like, listen, man. It's too. You didn't just win the Olympics. You didn't just win the World Cup. It's one game. You can't be walking across the field with the American flag wrapped around you. Like, we know you're American, bro. Like, it's just there's an American on the other team. Like, you don't, like, there's foreign players on all the teams, and there's foreign players on your team, and none of them had their flag wrapped around them. Your country's not at war with Russia. Chill, fam. Chill. Like, the American flag was just too much. So that's my issue. What you got, Lee, on this game?
Yeah, just, I mean, like Neil said, the Chelsea didn't start too badly, but then, like, they were creating chances, those Sterling chances, but then that first goal really just sort of threw them. They felt like they lost their heads a bit after that, and credit to Leeds. Like I say, as soon as they smelt blood, they went for it, and they were ruthless. Rodrigo was great. Jack Harrison was great, as well as the American guys as well. I mean, Harrison I sort of consider an American guy anyway because he came up in the MLS with New York City, and being coached by American coaches. So you can almost add him to that list, sort of. But he played great. I mean, there was good performances all over for him. Meslier in goal. Like we said, that big save from Sterling at the start as well. Just a solid performance from them. They look like they're going to be a lot more comfortable in the league than they were last season, with these new fresh ideas. And we'll be changing their name to Red Bull Leeds soon, because they're signing Red Bull players. They've got Jesse Marsch there. They're playing that Red Bull style of football, which is that sort of quick back to front football, the high press, the aggressiveness. It's a Red Bull team without the Red Bull name at the moment. But it's fun to watch. It's all high energy. And the only team who's actually taken any points off Leeds this season's us.
Let me ask you a question. When they played you last week and they were up to, did they tire? Because I was worried about them tiring later on, and they did in this game. I was like, are they going to be able to hold on to this too? So did they tire against you last week? Like towards it, and is that how you got the 2 goals, or it was like tactical changes?
Partly they tied, but also we went to a back 4 and we changed the way we played and the way the players we had on the pitch. We put players in different attacking positions. And I think just momentum, as soon as we got 1 goal and then the home crowd were on the back, it was a combination of everything. I think tiredness was definitely a little bit, they looked a little bit leggy at that point. But like I say, we still had to make the changes and the crowd had to get behind the team. It was a factor of everything. I think, those games where the momentum starts to swing and then it just goes, kind of thing.
All right. I also want to give a shout out to the Old Trafford fans, especially after a march against the Glazers, and to put the energy into that team today. That was just big fan-wise. The fans played a good game today too. So what's up with your game? You're out here coming back from down 1-0. Southampton getting points. Like, where you at in the table? What's up?
We're up to it. We're 11th at the moment. But like I said in the chat, nobody celebrates the table this early unless they're a Spurs fan. So
that's why Martin's not here. He's celebrating.
Yeah. Football's premature ejaculators, Spurs fans. That's what they are.
Martin's having the open top parade.
Yeah, he's in London though.
But no, we didn't play that great out the start. Leicester they had more of the ball. They were causing us problems. Like, the first half was a bit of a boring game. Like, neither team really had any big shots. We had a goal disallowed, which was rightly offside. It was like 2 or 3 yards offside. The young French striker we've got, Mara, he started up front on his own. He took the goal really well. It was a really good finish, but he was offside. But other than that, there wasn't really much going on. And then Leicester came out second half playing well. Maddison scored that great free kick as well. Like, he picked the only spot he could have put that ball, sort of bent it around the side of the wall to catch the keeper out. And as soon as we were one down, I was like, do we have to do this again? Because we weren't playing that great. But I think that we looked more solid overall this week because we were playing a back 4. I mentioned it on last week's podcast. We played a 3-5-2 the first 2 games. We were terrible. We went to a back 4 to come back against Leeds. We started with it this week. It looked a lot better, even though Gineppo's the left back in it, when he's not a left back. But we don't have any healthy left backs right now. So
listen, you don't want him in the final third.
I don't want him in the defensive third, to be honest. But he played okay this week. And shout out to Shea Adams. There's been a lot of speculation about whether or not he'd be sold. He wasn't really doing it in preseason or anything, but he came out here. He looked angry when he came on the pitch as well. Like, he was like, I need to show some people, because he's from Leicester as well. He was that's where he grew up, and their fans were booing him when he came on for playing for another club and all that. And then he looked pretty even looked pissed off when he scored. He was like cupping his hand to his ear and stuff. But I mean, hopefully this means that he's happy and he's going to stay because he's playing and he's scoring. Because he'll start against you guys. If he plays like this, he can.
Last week it sounded like you wanted him sold.
I didn't want him sold because we don't have any strikers, but I wouldn't have been against him being sold if it meant we could bring someone else in. Right. Because he played great this game, but he played great other games for us last season, but he never did it over a season. He would have like 3 or 4 games like this, and then he would have 20 games where he didn't really do anything. So
Right.
the challenge for him is, can he do this consistently now? Because I mean, he'll start against
Nah,
you
he
guys.
can't.
Well, we'll see Saturday, but he'll start against you guys. He's earned his place back in the team now, so we'll see whether he does that. But when he came on, like I say, he was shouting at people like where they needed to be on the field. He was, he came on looking like a leader, and he dragged us back into this game. He could have had a hat trick as well. He hit the post, and he helped turn the game in our favour. We could have had another couple of goals in those sort of last 15 minutes as well. It was crazy to see us actually turn it around and come back. And some of our young players are looking really good. Bella Kotchap started for the first time. The centre back we got from Bochum in Germany. He looked really good. He got an assist off the first goal as well with a little clever set to Shea Adams from the throw-in. Romeo Lavia, the teenage midfielder we got from Man City, the Belgian kid, he looked really good. He had one loose pass which gave Leicester a chance in the first half, but other than that, he looked great. Bazunu, the goalkeeper, made a couple of good saves. It's starting to come together. Aribo as well, I like him. So there's potential there. We just need to be consistent.
All right.
And never play a back three ever again.
That's cool. Like hearing about that. I'm gonna try to remember some of those names that you mentioned for like to see how they progress throughout the season, and see if we need to buy them from.
You'll get a closer look at them on Saturday.
Yeah.
That's going to be that. Well, that's going to be like what, a Friday night game for you, because it's 12:30 here on Saturday. It's a lunchtime game here for us, so that'll be like a what?
Oh, Friday morning, 4:30.
4:30
a.m.
Yeah,
I love those. For you guys.
I love those.
That's my time. Yeah, I love those. Yeah.
I should do that like at the pub, like when it's obviously a while back, but just to stay up partying all night in downtown and just sleep in the car for an hour or so and wait for Shakespeare to open.
Damn.
Because the 3 p.m. games must be nice for you guys. That's a breakfast. That's a breakfast watch, isn't it?
Yeah.
What time is 3 p.m. here? Like
3 p.m. The early one.
7 a.m.
7:30.
I mean, which is the earliest? Okay, let me see. You're saying the earliest games are 12:30 p.m. there?
Yeah.
Okay. But that's on the
4:30
weekend or on the
weekend? So it'll be 7 p.m. for you guys, or 7 a.m. for you guys when it's when it's the 3 p.m. kickoffs.
Right.
Yeah.
That's a bit more sociable hour than 4:30.
Listen, whatever it comes on is sociable for me. I'm down. Just tell me the time and be accurate about it, and I'm there. Yeah. So I would just want everybody to pick a game that wasn't their team that they watched or liked this weekend, and what you liked about it. So mine was the Newcastle Man City game. Seesaw, back and forth. City came out being City. They scored first, and you're like, shit, I thought this Newcastle team was ready for this. I'm a little disappointed in Eddie Howe, and especially at home. And I'm like, all right, I guess Man City's just going to just roll through them. And then 3 goals in a row later, Newcastle was dominating the midfield. Joe Linton, a converted man. He's in a new religion. He ain't no forward no more. He's a midfielder. He's big. He'll knock you off the ball. He'll steal it. He'll run till the whistle blows. And Bruno Gomez, like matching class for class in the midfield, and and Saint Maxima making those runs at Kyle Walker as if he never heard that Kyle Walker had some speed. Like just really challenging him, going at him, and then going in those wide empty spaces, and just utilizing it. And it's just like you look around and you're like, oh, the stripes are up 3-1, and then Man City being Man City, they treated it like the last game at the end of the season where they need to get some points, and Haaland gets one, a scrappy Haaland style type of goal, and then what was that pass that De Bruyne made? Who did he make it to? Was that to
Gundogan, I think.
At the Gundogan scored the first one. That was a pass from Bruno. Who scored the other one?
Bernardo Silva.
Bernardo
Silva, not Gundogan. Yeah.
Who's on my fantasy team, so I get some points from that. And they tied up, but a really entertaining game. And I know Newcastle fans must be happy with just the throwbackness of that game. Like, Newcastle hasn't won anything in a while, but one thing they do cling to is during the Kegan era is the 4-3 game. Who was that against? Liverpool?
Liverpool, yeah, twice.
So the Newcastle fans, like, that's their holy grail. Like, that's what they base their entire history off. Like, that season and that game, they treat that like it gave them a trophy, and that's who they always want to be. And this game against the reigning champs kind of put them back in that field. And it's just great job, Eddie Howe, of just like turning these players around into like real players. Grealish was on the bench watching Almiron score, and Almiron is the player he tried to make fun of comparing Mahrez to, like when he was drunk at the end of the season. At the end of the season, when he's on vacation, he was like, "Get Mahrez out the game. He plays like Almiron." Well, Almiron scored a goal today, and Grealish was on the bench, and that was one of the best games of the week that I watched. I don't know if anyone has the same game or another game.
You want to go first, Neil?
I was actually gonna go with the United Liverpool game, but we already spoke about that.
I mean, you could say some more. Just don't be shady like Lee.
No, I think the angle that Ronaldo didn't start when you actually probably he's the only striker you have. I think that was really gutsy by Ten Hag, and
that's a huge point. That is so huge to like put Ronaldo on the bench, no sulking, or say, "Hey man, what do you sulk up?" Like that. You need
team's
that
winning, stop sulking.
Yeah, you need to make those type of statements.
Yeah,
so that to gain full control of this team. You know what I mean?
And it's to only bring him on to wear the game down as well in like the 88th minute or whatever it was.
Bring him on as if you're bringing on John Obi Mikel to close out a game.
Sure,
just yeah. That's not gonna go into the documentary, but that's gonna stay.
Did you guys see the clip of him greeting the United pundits before the game?
Oh yeah, and he completely blanked Carragher.
He ignored Carragher. Yeah, he like hugged Neville and Roy Keane, and then just ignored Carragher.
Carragher puts his hand out, and he just walks past.
Oh, Ronaldo?
He doesn't. Ronaldo.
Full air, yeah. I'll send you a link.
Yeah.
That's funny.
I
didn't see that. I did. It was funny seeing, like Casemiro. It's like meet Keane. It's like Keane's son had arrived. Like Keane had the son.
Yeah.
That he never raised, and he finally came home, and like after he got the phone call 30 years later that he had a son. And this was the day he was going to meet his son. And they had this meeting where Casemiro walked to get interviewed, and he went straight to Keane, and Keane went straight to him. And they had this private conversation while everybody's waiting to talk to Casemiro. And then they hugged each other like, "I understand. Dad, son, I'm glad you found me finally and used the DNA test to find me. And now you're home. Let's fucking do this." So that was great.
I will say this though, like you can go on and on about like with the biggest club and stuff like that, but nobody does player unveilings in the Premier League like Manchester United. Like,
because we always get the players so late that they have to be unveiled in the middle of the season during a game, at the beginning of a game.
Yeah, and I'm sure if the team is not like, if Liverpool had lost today, it'd be like, yeah, you guys spend all your
energy. Liverpool had lost
today. If United had lost today, the narrative would have been like, you guys spent all your energy in a spectacle, try to unveil Casemiro, but where the real stuff starts, you guys are not at it. But if you can top it off with a win, then that's a good moment. You can come out of it. But you know, we've been here before with Varane getting introduced by Rio Ferdinand. So you just gotta hope that
if we win that game, if we introduce a player, we at home we win that game.
Yeah, but Varane's still trying to find his feet at Old Trafford, right? So
You're right, but he was fine today.
yeah,
And
he was great today. Like he pretty much manhandled Luis Diaz.
Yeah,
he was great today.
They have this thing where they have him on this separate training program to get him ready, and also it keeps him injury free. So we're gonna see how this separate training program like works for him, because we haven't been able to really use him as to be consistent. And I think the separate training program is just keeping him away from McGuire.
I was just gonna say, is that program called "I Won't Play with Harry Maguire"? I was just gonna say that. Yeah. Do not spoil the reputation I've built working hard over 20 years from a as a kid.
Every time I play with McGuire, I lose a Champions League title. What you got, Lee? What's your game?
I mean, I really enjoyed watching Arsenal this week against Bournemouth. I mean, Bournemouth is the sort of team you'd expect them to beat. But, you know, Arsenal of old would sometimes, you know, slip up in these games. But they went down to Bournemouth. You know, Bournemouth is, you know, always up for it at home. They beat Villa on the opening day there. And Arsenal just pushed them aside like they were kids. It was such a confident performance. They're so fun to watch with the ball, the way they move the ball. Odegaard was class. Like obviously he pinched 2 goals. Jesus on that one when he just controlled that ball out the sky and just killed it with one touch and then turned and ran through and slid the through ball.
Who the fuck is that? Because
he's getting some love now, isn't he?
If that guy was at City, he would have stayed at City. Pep would have never let that guy go. Who the fuck is that guy? Where did Arsenal get him from?
I think he just needed to be the main man. You know, he needed some love, but I mean, he was great. Saliba's goal was unreal as well for a centre back to just step up and whip that ball into the top corner with the left foot from there.
Did you see great. Zinchenko's reaction to Saliba's goal?
Yeah, you couldn't believe it. It was crazy. It was a shame that Jesus' goal got chalked off. One, because he's in my fantasy team, but also I think he deserved a goal in that game. Like it was a great little finish to just dink it over the keeper, and I think he was marginally offside, but that was a bit unfortunate. But yeah, I mean Arsenal. I mean I know it's early game still, so we're not really, like I say, no one celebrates this early apart from Tottenham fans. So they shouldn't get ahead of themselves. But I think it's really promising for them the way they're looking. Obviously, 3 games, 3 wins. Their games, you probably expect them to win. But nonetheless, they still have to go out there and do the job, which is what they've not been doing previous seasons. So, yeah, I was really impressed with them. I think they just the squad looks nice this season. They've plugged the gaps that they needed to fill. They might even get one more in, and they're still being linked with Tielemans. I think if he comes in, that takes them to another level in their midfield as well. But
I hope they're looking.
Yeah, they're looking good.
Yeah, we don't need those problems. I hope they don't get him.
Arsenal look good, yeah. I feel like we missed a trick passing up on Gabriel Jesus. Apparently, he was offered to us first. But we Tuchel.
Yeah, because you need a 9,
and we need a 9. Like he would be ideal because he's not just a fox in the box kind of like poacher guy. He is fluid. He will create. He will link up well. He will step back. So I think he would have been. He knows how to play with Sterling. So yeah, he would have been great. But we got to find somebody else now.
Yeah,
Martinelli looked great for them as well. Again, like he's really coming into his own as a starting Premier League player. Like before, he was sort of a kid that was in and out of the team.
Yeah.
So he's looking really good as well. So yeah, that was the game I think I enjoyed the most. Just a couple of quick shout outs. The other games I enjoyed watching: Fulham Brentford was crazy, 3-2 to Fulham, and Palace demolishing Villa as well was a fun watch.
Yeah, I saw the Arsenal game, and they're doing exactly like I'm more optimistic about Arsenal than Arsenal fans. Like they're just starting to believe. Like you know, like I was with Jack Whitehall this weekend, and him and his manager, I think they're all Arsenal fans, and even like we had a guest on the show who's an Arsenal fan. Coach, what's Coach's last name? But he has a podcast too, and like only like towards the end of last year or the beginning of this season did they start getting optimistic. But like you could see what Arsenal's doing, growing. There was a time when I did make fun of him, but I would never not take him serious right now. Like even though it's early, like there's no reason for this team to get to deflate. And you said the Crystal Palace game, I watched that because of Villa and Jesus. Eze is turning into because the championship is an easier league. There was a style that Eze played with that kind of remind me of Ronaldinho, and he's just like getting more playing time in the Premier League and getting more comfortable, and all the tricks are starting to come out. And I've always said, let's buy some Eze stock, and that was a great game. But also, I don't think that handball, I put it in the chat, the handball, the penalty, that's not a penalty.
Yeah.
That's not a penalty. Like, if you're a grown-ass man and they're paying you to take chances and make choices, and you're a referee, this is the time when you, like, make a practical decision. And you have the video. Like, if you don't call that penalty, nobody's going to say, all right. Like, you don't have to, the letter of the law says it's a penalty. But if you say it ain't a penalty, nobody's going to be mad at you. You got to be like, that's not a penalty.
He's not even looking. He's jumping. You can't jump for a header like that. It's a natural position for the arm to be in as he jumps, and he's not even looking. He doesn't move it towards the ball. It's just there because he's jumped, and then it just falls down and hits him.
Yeah, it got headed onto his hand without his knowledge. You can't give that. That's and that's when the referee. It was such a no penalty that the soccer guards had the goalkeeper save it. It's just that got the rebound. But the third goal from Crystal Palace was as legit and as preposterous and stylish and professional as goals come. It's like a half the team goal, the passing all the way on the left side, swung it through the middle, ball in the back of the net. And Steven Gerrard, man, it is not looking good. It's early, but you spent a lot of money, bro. You spent a lot of money, and that's a big loss.
Pressure's on.
Pressure's on. I guess the other thing is, this week is the 30th anniversary of the Premier League. So they asked this question on TV. So I just want to ask you guys, like, what's your biggest Premier League memory over the last 30 years? Who wants to go first?
I'll go with like a personal one and then an overall one. Personal one for me was, this is like when I was a kid, I was 11 years old, Southampton beating Man United 6-3.
Wow, bro.
At the Dell. It was incredible. Letitia scored one of the best goals you'll ever see. He sort of danced between a couple of defenders, and then he just chipped the ball over Schmeichel, who at the time for me, Schmeichel was the best keeper in the world, like hands down at that point in the mid-90s. And he scored that goal. I mean, Keane got sent off because it was a typical Keane tackle. But it was a crazy game, like 6-3. That's like, you're not going to get much more entertainment than that at a Premier League game. So for me, that was like one of my sort of favorite games as a kid. That was like, had me going crazy. And we had beaten United 3-1 a few months before that. And the 3-1 game was the game where they started the game in the grey shirts and changed at half time because they claimed they couldn't see each other. So that was a fun era. I'm hoping for some of that this Saturday when we play some classic Southampton Man United action where we take you guys to town and you come out with some excuses because you'll be wearing that hideous green kit that you wore at Brentford. So hopefully the players get some PTSD from wearing it against Brentford. because this will be the first time they're wearing it again. So I'm hoping that kicks in. But yeah, for me, that was that whole era when Letizia was just the best player. One of the best players in the league, the best players in the world at the time. He was crazy, some of the things he was doing. But that particular game, the 6-3, really stuck out for me, for sure. And then I think
I just want to say we've been beaten in that kit that we beat Liverpool in today. So good luck next week. It didn't help. It didn't help Liverpool. So hopefully it won't help you. Go ahead.
But just as an overall thing, I think it's hard for many other moments. I think the Aguero moment.
Wow, this is just an attack. This is personal, bro. All your memories, all your greatest Premier League memories are against Man United, whether it was a Southampton thing or somebody else. All right.
It's just an iconic moment, wasn't it? The way the whole afternoon unfolded with those games.
It was a great afternoon. It was even though we took the L, that was
These are just particular moments, but there's some other bits as well. I mean, I'll say like the United treble winning season, that was a phenomenal team to watch. But there wasn't any particular moment I can think of that was memorable in the Premier League in that season for them. Like there was the FA Cup thing. There was like Ryan Giggs beating the whole Arsenal team to go score, but that was the FA Cup. It was that season, but it was the FA Cup rather than the Premier League. So if we're just talking Premier League, I mean, United's dominance of the 90s was one of the big parts. That was one of the big eras of the Premier League for sure.
Well, I was going to let Neil go next, but my favorite moment of the Premier League since its existence was most of it. And that's because of United's dominance up until 10 years ago. So it's tough to pick a moment when you had this team that went from the beginning of it all the way through up until 10 years ago. And they just, it's almost like, you ever seen the movie Life with Eddie Murphy and Martin Lawrence, where when they went to prison, they got life. And then you see the people they were in prison with in the beginning, and they got old in the movie. So then, there were parts in the movie where some of the prisoners would die and new prisoners would come in, but they stayed alive until the end of the movie. So it's like you see people fade out, new people fade in. That's all one moment for me. The whole entire Alex Ferguson era was like the moment that I remember the most about the Premier League. Class of '92, and just trophies, and Wayne Rooney, Van Nistelrooy, and just the Neville brothers, Giggs in his prime, Scholes, Beckham, Cantona, just Van Persie, Rooney. I'm just going to keep naming people, Yacht Stam, Ferdinand, and I'm leaving people out, but Patrice Evra, just all of it. What you got, Neil?
Trying to think, because in cup competitions, it's easy to come up with moments, right? You're talking about the Premier League. That's why the Aguero moment is. I don't think it'll never be topped, because how can you top something that's league winning?
At two, Neil?
Oh shit! I forgot one. Just real quick, Leicester winning the league as well has to be in there.
Yes, Leicester winning the league and Spurs not winning the league.
I mean, that the season, the moment there was, Spurs leading 2-0 at Stamford Bridge. And
there you go.
We
Battle of the Bridge.
Gary Cahill kind of scrappily scores one. And then Eden Hazard, who's been sleeping the entire season, he pretty much practically took a season off. He comes on, has this amazing interplay with Fabregas and Diego Costa, which is essentially the team that won either side of the Leicester win, that trio. But he does this 1-2, and somehow, and the entire Spurs team they've been playing so rough that entire game. They're trying to have fouls and just kill any momentum we create. But somehow for 10-15 seconds, we got a play from back to front going. and where it curls right into the top corner. That was one of the great Eden Hazard goals, and it's so sweet that it killed Tottenham Hotspur. And
too bad you didn't know Martin, and you could have really enjoyed
it. Yeah, and it's on a similar note, like the goal that. So I'm gonna rattle a few Chelsea things before but the Steven Gerrard Dembaba,
the slip.
The slip, because personally for me that was the first game I was like the pub I speak of at in San Diego. Like I wasn't aware a pub like this exists here. So interestingly, a Liverpool friend of mine, he thought it'd be a good idea to go watch the game with some soccer fans. He didn't realize that Shakespeare was actually a Chelsea pub. The Liverpool pub is further down the road, and it was just a sea of blue when we entered there. I was like, "Oh, these are my people. Why didn't I know?" And the way the game went, even the pre-match, like it was a party. Like people had already anointed Liverpool as the champions, and Mourinho kind of used that as saying, "Hey, there's a circus going on, and you guys are the jokers. You guys are here to perform at the party. How do you like that?" And the team responded. Thomas Callas at the back playing out of his mind. We never saw him again. Mo Salah playing for Chelsea. We didn't see him again either. And Gerrard, he overplayed the ball, slipped, and Dembaba scored. Is a great moment. But I also go right way back to Jesper Grønkjær again against. This is Chelsea Liverpool. This is 2002 or 2003. Yeah, I think it was. Yeah, it's basically the 2002-2003 season. Basically Chelsea Liverpool both playing last game of the season for the 4th spot in the Champions League spot, and Jesper Grønkjær scores the winner. The scores are tied 1-1, and he scores the winner. And I think if a lot of reporting is to be believed, if we hadn't made Champions League that season, Roman Abramovich probably never buys the club.
He wouldn't have became a Chelsea fan. He wouldn't have Roman, if you didn't win getting the Champions League that season, Roman Abramovich wouldn't have become a lifetime Chelsea fan. Is that what you're saying?
And not had his assets seized in the summer of 2022. But yeah, those moments, and I mean the Aguero moment is such a classic, right? Like you can't like the sheer drama of it, you just can't beat it. Like they were actually down 1 goal and scored the did Dzeko score the equalizer?
I think it might have been.
Yeah, it's probably Dzeko. Both very close to the full-time whistle. And then Aguero scoring that. Yeah, that was. It's good that Aguero scored that, because sometimes you feel like all these cult moments happen with people like who are not really goats. It's great that one of the great strikers the Premier League has seen has that moment on his name.
All right, Lee, how we did in the
oh boy,
the fantasy football.
I mean, I know
we got a new team at the top. So Lyle Gillen, who was top for the first 2 weeks, he slipped down to second. Aaron Firkin is the guy at the top this week, with Graben by the Nusi is his team name. He's on 195 points. Lyle Gillen's team in second is on 194. So it's tight at the top. I'm in fourth. I'm in joint fourth place on 188. So I'm close. Next down out of us guys is Martin's in 16th.
Damn.
Ian, you're in 25th.
I moved up then, right? From last week. How many points are you?
You're on 143.
That's not bad. I'm not that far back for.
Yeah, it's all close. You're 25 points behind Martin, and then Neil is 31st out of 33. with his Cobham team.
Well, I also haven't done anything to the team since we made those teams a couple of weeks back.
Might have
So
to,
I
might
have to.
play.
That sound like
Neil,
a
play,
total excuse.
Neil,
Yeah, I
play the
have to
wild
do
card.
something.
Get rid of the Cobham experiment. It's not working.
No, I mean, I think I can make the Cobham experiment work if I'm just a little more proactive with the team. Like half this players are not really doing anything. I need to just like change things up a little bit, like change the captain up maybe.
But shout out to Aaron Firkin, top of the pile for week number 3.
Yeah, whatever.
We'll see,
Shout out to you.
We'll see where we
team
are.
Name is his team name. I just clocked his team name. It's Grabbing by the Lucy.
It's a good name. You know. I like the name.
Yeah, there's some big captain decisions this week though, because there's a lot of obviously the big players have got games where they could do something. So a lot of people got Salah, Liverpool at home to Bournemouth. They'll be looking for a reaction after tonight. Jesus is playing for Arsenal at home to Fulham. So that could be a game you want to captain him. Haaland at home to Palace for City. Kane away to Forest for Spurs. So all these big guys who have been doing well so far. There's a big decision on who you make your captain this week if you got any of those guys in.
All right. What's the big game in the Premier League this week? And it feels like it's just it's like the WWE card where there's no big matchup. That's weird.
Yeah,
right?
There isn't anything huge. I think Palace away at City is going to be interesting because obviously Palace went to Anfield and they gave Liverpool a really good game. They played well against Villa at the weekend, so it'd be interesting to see whether or not they're any match for City, whether they can do anything against them. So that'll be interesting. I think Fulham Arsenal was the same as well. Like Fulham have started really well, and can Arsenal just breeze past them, or are Fulham going to cause them a problem? And I think our game will be interesting, but just because you guys are going to be confident after tonight. We're going to be confident after winning the game this weekend. We'll see how that goes. But Leicester Chelsea, I think, could be a good game.
Leicester Chelsea.
Yeah.
I think it's funny. That's a funny.
Oh, the
game.
Wesley Fofana derby, you mean?
Yeah. That's why it's funny. Yeah, it's like.
Oh yeah. Thanks for making sure he didn't play this weekend when we played them.
This is the closest Fofana's going to come to being a Chelsea player this week when he's watching this game.
Did you see he was in the stands with his girlfriend, and they had video of basically when James Maddison scored the opener.
Mm-hmm.
Like the entire crowd's going crazy around him, and Fofana's just like sitting there, essentially no expression on his face.
He's checked.
He's the only guy who's sitting in the entire. I think even his girlfriend stood up.
That's just because he knows we had Che Adams to bring on. He knew it wasn't going to last. No, even I didn't know that. Although, just looking at these fixtures, a game that's under the radar, Leeds at home to Brighton. I think that'll be a really good game to watch.
Yeah.
Yes.
Just because they're two exciting teams right now.
That's actually a big match. Just because of even if you just look at the table now, let me check it out. The only way to see a big match now for this week is if you take the table serious.
Yeah, it's 3rd v 5th. Leeds are 3rd, Brighton are 5th, both on 7 points.
Champions League
both undefeated.
Yeah. Is that, So yeah, all right. That's a huge. I'll watch that. And we won't look at the table. It's only the 3rd week. And but yeah, I think that's it. We did it. That's the pod for the week. Trying to chisel it down, cover a bunch of things, and make sure we talk about all the things we should talk about. Happy birthday, Premier League. Spurs won. They eked it out against Wolves. They played better in the second half than they did in the first. In the first half, their fans were booing them, but they definitely stepped it up. And that's a Conte win. It's like Spurs are getting points when they shouldn't, and that's when they got a good coach. So they did that. So we'll see. It's a long season ahead.
Yeah.
But yeah, great job, guys. Thanks, Lee. Thanks, Neil. Thanks, Aaron Brungardt, for producing it. Martin wasn't here, so thank God 2 weeks in a row. And yeah, we'll see y'all next weekend. And leave some comments on YouTube or rate and review us on Apple and iTunes, which is iTunes and Omni Studio and Spotify. Tell your friends. Let's build this thing. All right, y'all. One. Give my Eddie Murphy smile.
Very long. Shit.
Can't hold a smile, man.
Wait for my countdown. All right. 3, 2, 1. Got it. Perfect.
This is my we just beat Liverpool smile.
Yeah, you can't get
Unbelievable. All right, bet. All right, guys.
All right.
We'll kick it in the chat.
Yeah, catch you
Some
later.
sleep. All right, peace.
Yeah. All right, guys. Bye.
All right, one.